All right, we're back. That was a little long. It's COMP2007. That's Enterprise Computing in the summer 2016 semester at Georgia. And we are week 11, part 2 of our broadcast. We just finished talking about security at a very high level. I want to skip back, take a step back to what we did for our final project. I want to talk about that a little bit. So I talked about some of the requirements. If I go to the requirements of the final project for a second, I want to see that again. One of them is, if I skip down to some of the stuff, it says, when you, and I'll fix this up later on. So the store's products will be displayed as a product catalog in either a list or card format, right? Now, so far today, with your, if you're doing a like some kind of restaurant, and some people might be taking the restaurant and expanding on it for their final project. Right now you have it in a list, but you could choose to do it in a card format for your final project. Let me take a look at that. So if I was to look at, let's say, one of the biggest retailers, Amazon, right? Okay, Dan, you're going to shop with me. Tell me, Dan, what do you want to buy at Amazon? Right? We did this a bunch of times. Tell me what you like. This morning it was soccer balls and cameras, right? What do you like? Right? I almost bought the soccer ball. That was, it's just something. Go ahead. Laptop. Okay. Laptops are kind of funny because, and I don't recommend you sell those in your store, but let me just put laptop in there. Laptops, there's different brands, right, for laptops. But one of the things you see here that immediately comes up is I have, well, $199 for this one. One thing that comes up is it's in card format, right? So you have a little card as an example. And one of the things you see is the name of the item and a little picture of it, and then prices. If I click on the item itself, it gives me a larger image, like I said, with some additional prices and some, we just saw a rating system if you want to rate the system, and then an add to cart button. Again, if you skip down, there's additional related items and a bunch of stuff like this, some other product details and so on. To me, I like Amazon. I still think it's really cluttered. Money. I think it's like something like 6 billion a day or something crazy. I don't know. Anyways, but at the end of the day, when you look at this thing, this is kind of what I'm looking for you, right? Some kind of cards, and let's look at some other features. Okay, Cindy, you pick up the next one. Tell me what else you want to look for. Are you a stress shopper? Do you shop more when you're stressed? Huh? No? Okay, how about D&D books, if you're not going to give me the thing. So D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, right? Just because we're here now. We can do this, right? It's Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so again, card format. If you see, one thing has a little bestseller stripe at the top, right? And you can see the prices of these items, right? If you wanted to go through. But if you notice, one thing to note about these items, and I want to point this out nicely to you, and this is what's happened in the past. Each of the cards are identically sized. It doesn't matter what the item is in the middle. These cards are identical. Why? It's much better from a layout perspective. So you need to size the image or whatever it is in the middle, even this one. So this is a pack, a miniatures pack. But even though it's a miniatures pack and it's different than a book, it still fits in this card. All right, so please, when you do your final assignment, your final project, if you're going to use card format, which is a very popular format to sell items, make sure that they're all proportional and they're even, right? D&D. So let's look at another retailer, because this is, we saw how it works. If I was going to buy a book, like let's say, for example, I wanted to buy the Player's Handbook, right? And I was going to step through it. You see that I have certain options. If I want to click Add to Cart, right, as an example, it's going to take me to my cart. Here's my cart functionality. It's kind of cluttered. Notice that I have which book I've added to the cart, which is this one, Add to Cart, my Player's Handbook. If I want to see the cart, there usually is some kind of image or a link that goes to cart, and I can see more details about my cart, especially about if it's covered by Prime. Prime means it'll probably get to me like in 24 hours, right? And it's cheaper to ship. And also the quantity. How many Player's Handbooks do I want? How about 9 of them, right? Because I want to give one to all my friends, as an example, because we want to play D&D together, right? Then I want to proceed to checkout. Notice that my checkout link tells me a couple more pieces of information. One is, and by the way, if I click this button right here, I'm ordering 9 Player's Handbooks, right? I don't want to do that. But I'm just showing this off. You can see that I've got my address information here, and then your order summary, all this kind of stuff, and you can place your order, and then it'll come to you, right? Let's look at another retailer. Let's go to Costco for a second. Okay, Jesse, I want you to order from Costco. What are you going to order, right? So you can order whatever you like, right? Doesn't mean I'll buy it, but let's see what happens, right? TV. Okay, so I click on the TV. Oh man, what happened? Let's go back to that TV. Shop now. There it is. So it's TVs. We found 78 results for OG0725. It's only 5,000 bucks. Let's go. Let's order this one. So again, you see card format. It's a little different than we had in Amazon. Card format again, roughly the same size. Notice that at least the images are aligned, except for this one. But most of them are kind of aligned in order. They have a bit of a space for everything. And then if I click on one of the images, like this one, you can see that this image will come up with this Vizio, whatever this TV is, 4K Ultra HD home theater display, right? And what it comes with. If I click Add to Cart for this one, I can manage my cart a little differently. It asks me if I want to get protection. I'm going to say no. Let's just check out. I can also go continue shopping if I want. Oh wait, this is what I had from last time when I did it this morning. Someone chose TV as well. Let's remove this one from cart. So removing from cart should be part of your shopping cart functionality, right? So remove my cart. Remove from cart. Come on. There we go. And then we can see that I have quantity 1, the total price, and if I want to proceed to checkout, it's going to ask me to log in, right? Which is what it should do for you. It should ask you to log in, right? So that's shopping cart from popular retailers. Let's talk about food, right? There's I kind of use Wakame Sushi, right? Because we order from sushi sometimes. And now this site does not have it does not have a online menu, but what it does have is it gives you the menu items. So example, this is group by type. So if I want to look at, I don't know, combinations, and by the way, this site is not responsive, as you can see, right? But let's suppose that I like to have sushi. Don't get hungry, right? I know, it's crazy. So I want to order some sushi, and I can see that there's sushi and sashimi Osaka, 21 pieces for $17.50, right? And this is in Toronto, right? So these are Toronto prices. But if I was going to turn this menu into something I can order online, again, I would have some kind of name for the item, maybe a picture. This is what I want you to do, right? And then some kind of short description like this, and then maybe some kind of item that says add to cart, right? Or if I choose on here, I get a bigger picture, a bigger image of what the item is. Okay, so sushi. Favorite restaurant? Let's go do another one. Zizi restaurant, Toronto, great restaurant for Italian cooking. This is an example of a good landing page, right? Landing page has, hey, this is what we do. We're Zizi's, right? It's got some ideas of what their story is and so on. I mean, do you want to go crazy like this? You don't have to. One of the things is it's a single page application. If I click on menu, it just shows up the menu. One thing that really freaked me out was when we look at this. Someone asked me this morning, so what about this? What about the entrees? Where are they? Well, unfortunately, this is your links. So this doesn't work for me. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put my links this way. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but you can see that this is not a cheap restaurant. So bruschetta, $7.95. It's probably about average. But if I go to entrees, you can see that some of these, are a little bit more expensive, right? And especially if I go to something like a la grilla, right? When I want to have something that's on the grill, right? Like a nice steak, tender 10-ounce sirloin. Jesse, I don't know if you like steak, but just putting it out there. Anyway, so there you go. So $26, right? So again, you can take these little settings, add some food pictures next to it, and then add some kind of add to cart functionality. And that's what I would do for these ones. Let's take a look at an actually online site. And I know it's a great bad example. Pizza has online ordering. So if I was going to go to Pizza, and if I look at order online, right? They have an online ordering menu. If I click, well, what do I want? I want pizza, right? All right, so of course I'm going to choose the Greek pizza, right? Come on, right? Now there's different options. I can choose customize. I don't want you guys to customize. Please don't customize too much. Make your selection simple, like an add to cart, all right? Once we start going too crazy into, hey, there's Spain. If I go too crazy with, what we're ordering, again, it becomes more and more choices, more challenging views. The more customization you have to do, the more challenging your code is going to be. Let's choose quick add. Yeah, small pizza. Let's say as an example, I probably have a pizza there from last time. Let's see, yeah, I do. I have two Greek pizzas. Let's look at the view. Say I ordered the same Greek pizza last time too. Let's get rid of that. But you can see that this is, again, reminds me a lot of an Angular front end, right? The way it's responding, right? But one of the things I can see is it tells you a little bit. There's a little bit of a thumbnails that's on the cart and some description, an overall price. And if I go to secure checkout, it's going to ask me to log in, right? Same functionality for all kind of sites, and that's the kind of stuff that I want you to think about. How do I translate? Even if I go back to the menu, right? So if I go back, right? So let's go back to to the pizza. There we go, and I go to order online. One thing to note is that you can choose several items, but they're in, again, some kind of card format. One thing that's different here than is done with what I'm asking you to do is different food groups. Now, in your case, please, what I'd ask you to do is try and, if you're going to do categories of food, make it simple for yourself. Don't go too crazy. You could certainly display your food in different cards for your final project. For your assignment 2, though, the requirement is to make a list, right, in list format. Am I going to complain if you put it in card format? No, I'm not going to complain. So let's say if I was going to choose something like, I don't know, wings and things to make Jesse crazy, right? And then I want 20 wings. Let's customize. You have to customize the wings, right? Come on. If I customize the wings, you can see that I want, like, I don't know, classic wings or breaded wings. What do you want, Jesse? Breaded wings. All right, I want to choose that. And let's say the dipping sauce. Definitely, we're going to do some kind of crazy hot sauce, honey garlic, hot sauce and wings. Okay, we'll add that in. A couple of those, right? And then to make it ultra hot, right? And then we can see that we can add this to cart too. When we add this to cart, we can go to view the cart, right? Let's view the cart for a second. And you can see that I have both my wings and my Greek pizza, kind of on the cart. It's actually not that expensive. It's like 30 bucks for, like, a little meal, right? And there's other ones like that. And I want you to look at the sites that are out there today. And there might be other ones, like, for example, Swiss Chalet might be one that you might want to look at for, for any kind of online ordering. Because you want to compare functionality to stuff that already exists, right? You don't want to sit there and reinvent the wheel. You want to look at stuff that already happens, right? So how would you like, this is different. How would you like to receive your order? We're going to deliver. I want you to deliver the order. That's right. And then, I don't know, we have to kind of add an address. This is kind of a pain. How about pickup? There we go. Pickup. And now it's going to ask me, where are you, right? There we go. We'll choose this one. All right. Okay. There we go. Yeah, to me, this is cumbersome to me. Let's continue with my order now. Okay, now. Whew. Too many selections, my friends. Too many selections. I want to be able to make it easy. Entrees. And okay, this is perfect. This is what I was looking for. It took me a little bit of time to get here, but this part is what I want. So again, some kind of thumbnail, a little bit of a description or name, and then if I click on here, you're going to see a bigger image, hopefully, more details. Actually, it was the same image for this one. And then all kinds of additional, customizations you can make. Me personally, I would probably make the site different myself if I was going to do it. I don't like the fact that I have to make a bunch of clicks to get in here and to order. I mean, it would deter me, especially if I wanted to do this more than once. I probably would decide I would do it one time and never again. Maybe the app is better. I don't know. But if you really like Swiss Chalet, I guess you'd order it. Right. Okay, one more. How about Mr. Sub? Can you order Mr. Sub online? Is that possible? What? Papa John's? Papa John's.
Actually, it has a huge customized thing.
Let's see what happens. Papa John's Pizza. There we go. This one? Is that what you're talking about? All right. And, add and customize. I see what you're saying, right? So I can start your order, start my order, and I can enter my delivery address if I want to, right? What if I just wanted to add and customize? So I want to add this and customize. And I guess, I would choose where I want. I want Canada, and then into business. Oh, I like the university, because you got to say university or college, because campus. Yeah, here it is, Georgian, right? Aurelia? No. How come it doesn't show Georgian here in Barrie? I guess. Dorm, building. Look at, has all the details, right? What building are we in? Come on. Which one should I choose? Which one are we in? Are we founders? Okay. And then room number, I don't know.
Straight to the room. This is great.
Of course, man. Come on. Right. The 212? Yeah, submit. And then, okay, there we go. We'll choose delivery. There we go. And then we'll say, I want a, what do you want, man? Here we go. We'll go and do, here, John's favorite. There we go. I'm just choosing one. Again, you can see add to cart functionality. Not sure if I would do this. Is a lot of customization here, but this is a little better than Pizza because you don't have to sit there and go, okay, which one do I want? I can choose large or small. Let's make it extra large, right? Just because. And then a couple of those, right? Because it's not enough to have one, right? And then we'll add to cart and see what the cart looks like. And they recommend, that's actually pretty good functionality there. I like how that popped up there. If I go to cart, you can see this is kind of, again, the same kind of functionality. We look at your cart, a couple of extra large pizzas as an example, and then I can check out. And you can see that the total, the subtotal, and the total of the estimated tax. If I check out, obviously it's going to ask me to log in, right? Which is what I want you guys to do. You guys can set this up. But this is a very nice site. Actually, it wasn't that much customization at all. Like it was just, yeah. The other thing I like is it looks to be responsive to me. And if you notice how I can tell right away when I was looking at it, you can see how the logo just changed size and different logo altogether based on the size. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Also, if I go back to the beginning, and if I kind of rejig this one, you can see how this all changes, right? And how you can still see the cart, but it kind of stacks a little nicely. So I like this. I think they really did a good job on this one. And they have a lot of information to share. I'm sure they have some kind of web app or some actual app you can download as well. Look, delivered to the founders building. Come on. Okay, no, we're not going to do that. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. I have to be pretty happy with that one, right? So again, that's when it comes to the product catalog. Going back to this one, I know we spent a little bit of time looking at different food, but guys, it's not because I want you to do that. A lot of you are going to choose restaurants, and again, there's two formats, but I highly recommend the card format. It's the most common format for food, as opposed to a list format. The list format was nice if you're going to go to a, kind of a mom and pop's restaurant and you want to have a list of menu items. Even how we did the sushi, where we broke it down into a couple of sections on the page. When you broke, instead of the list being one continuous list, it was a bit of a list here and a bit of a list over there. That's okay too. Breaks up a little bit of the flow, a little bit more interesting. Okay, let's get back to actually doing some security. So I wanted to kind of go into that a little bit and talk about this. So from a security perspective, we want to be able to secure our site. And there's a couple ways to do that. The majority of the way we do it here, and what I want you guys to do for your assignment 2, if you're going to use assignment 2 security at all, or for your final project, is there's 3 ways to secure your site. One of them is I want to secure my action methods, right? So my action methods, each action method could have its own secure, you can make it, and you can use the authorize attribute or filter, if you will, to secure each of those action methods. Once I use authorize, that means the person that's going to this action method or the view related to the action method has to be logged in. That's what it means. I could also do it by controller. So I can authorize the entire controller. So the entire controller, you need to be logged in on all the related views. And the third one is by site. The whole site is you need to authorize to get in, and there's a way of doing that. Let's talk about some of these. And for this, I'm going to come up with a little bit of an example. This is going to solve some people. People have been having some problems with assignment 2 in terms of our sample data. And what I want to do is give you an alternative option, right? So we're going to create, and I did this kind of earlier today, under our SQL Server Object Explorer, I want to create another table. And I want to do this from scratch, right? So I'm going to create a new table, and it says, hey, make sure you refresh everything. That's what it's telling me. Let's go back in here while it finishes refreshing. And this is all local too. All right. So I want to go up here, and I want to lose this table, which is Web Application 3 in this particular case. And I'm going to go into Tables, and I'm going to go right-click and Add New Table. It's going to take me to Table Designer here, and what I want to do is change the table name. Instead of making it just table, we're going to change this to widgets. Why not? not midgets, widgets, okay? And we're going to click on the ID here, and notice what I want to do if I bring up properties is I want to select identity specification. So instead of is identity false, I want to make is identity true, which makes this auto-incrementing primary key, right? All right, so we got our ID for our widgets, a widget ID, and I also want the name. So here's my name, capital N, and I want a description, and maybe, you know what, a number, like almost like a part number, right, for the widget, right? One thing to note is I want my name to be required, and I want it to be nvarchar, right? I'll make it nvarchar 50, so I can have a long name for my part. I want it to not allow nulls, so I want it to basically be required. When I don't allow nulls, it has to be required. My description can be optional, but I want it to be nvarchar max. There we go. And my number, I'll keep it nvarchar 10. Why nvarchar and not ncar or varchar? Anybody know that answer? Come on, little table. That's just my virtual machine shutting down. Money, there we go. Number is money. Yeah, use less space. The other thing is that from a localization perspective, it's better, right? In general, we use nvarchar nowadays. Let's go to 10. But you can certainly use the other ones. They're not compatible. If you have like one that's varchar, the other one's nvarchar, you know, the two shall not mix for whatever reason, right? Now, if you notice this is our little simple table. I'm going to click Update to add this stuff in, right? So, oh wait, I need to make my number definitely cannot allow nulls. The part number has to be there. Okay, so update. It's my SKU or my part number, whatever you want to call it. And then click Update Database. And then what it's going to do is add this database to the table to the database. All right, cool. So let's close this off, and I want to go to Toolbox. Sorry, SQL Server Object Explorer, and now I want to see my widgets database. I want to go to View Data, right? So, okay, so you can't do your sample data, but you can enter it here. Like, it doesn't take long to enter 10 pieces of data, you guys, right? If it's a long list of stuff, yes, it might take long. Like for your MVC music store, there's a lot of little details there that you probably can add in, but you can also create views to do that for you, which is what we're going to do, right? So let's say my name for this widget, we'll call it first widget. Kind of do the same, and you know my description is this is first widget. You can call this whatever you want. This is just sample data, right? And the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the second widget, and then this is the second widget. And you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then third widget. God, I'm getting hungry now, right? All that food, and this is the third widget, right? And we're going to say 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, so some numbers. We got a few pieces of data. I don't want to go too crazy here. That's just enough to start us off. Okay. Now that I have my data and I have my database, I want to add a model. How do I add a model? I want to add a model based on the database. What do I do? Yes. Right-click on models, right, and then add. Yeah, I could do that ADO data entity data model. I have it already here. Or if you go to new item, one of the two, you can go to data ADO.net entity data model. Now, what am I going to call it, Chris? Since you're talking, tell me what I should call this thing. I could. So, for example, I could call this widget, but I want to call this widget context. Is probably what I want to do. This is the context model that's going to come down. This is going to provide all the linkages for all the other, maybe potential other tables that I want to make. So I want to call this the widget context, right? Click Add. Now I have a choice. Which one do I choose? I have my database. I have my data. I have a couple choices. What should I make? What should I choose? I could do this, but then that means I get that little designer piece that I want. The right one to do is this one. Code first from database nowadays. This is kind of deprecated. We want to get rid of that. So let's go next. And now I'm going to use my default connection because we already have a connection to our local database. You wouldn't do this normally. You would maybe make a new connection. But instead of calling it widget context, I'm just going to change the name to widget connection. Widget connection. So it's the same details, a different connection. And then click next. All right, I'm going to choose my table that I want, and I'm going to choose my widgets table, right? And it's going to pluralize or singularize generated object names, and I'm going to click Finish. What this is going to do is going to go up, grab stuff from the database, look at the way it's set up, and set up my DB context for the table, which is this one. Now, if I have more than one, obviously this would be better. I'm not going to change this. And the other thing it does is it also creates my widget model. This is good. Here, this is why it's good. Because my widget model, first of all, has a required attribute that tells the database that it can be non-null. If I put this in afterwards, I have to do code first migrations in order for me to add this in later on, right? I have to change my data model. If I change my data model, I have to change my database because my database by default is allow null. I don't want it to allow null, so I'm going to click required. String length basically tells us how big the maximum length is of our object, and then we can add additional features in here. For example, if I want to put in something like display, I did this on purpose. Instead of name, I want to say, you know, name is equal to widget name, right? Widget name, whatever the widget is, right? And then I want to do the same thing for description. So I want to put a display for my description where my name is equal to, and I'll put inside this, you've seen this before, widget description. Again, I'm using the model, to do some of this stuff, and same thing with this one. This one we'll use part number. So display, and name is equal to part number. So it's a little different than what it says. Instead of number, like widget number, we're using part number. Okay, cool. You can also do things like decide on minimum length and so on. Like for example, I could say, well, if the string length, I can also add in an error message, right? With an error message in here that says something like, please enter, whatever it's going to be. You can put all your validation in here as well, right? So any kind of validation you want to do at this level, even if I want to do something like, minimum length. I want to choose a minimum length property, and I want to choose the minimum length. So let's say I said the minimum length is 5 characters, right? I can put in a message as well. So minimum length is 5. String length is 50, right? Usually for the name, maybe I want to make it 2. I don't care if a minimum length from widget description. And then my part number, I want to have a minimum length for my part number of 6, right? So I say the minimum length for my part number, if I was going to do that, min length, right, is equal to 6. I don't want to have anything less than 6 characters for my part number. You can put a lot of this stuff in here. Now, is this going to change my database requirements, min length, or is it just validation? What do you think is going to happen here? Well, first I need to build the model. So let's build my solution. Yay. And now after I build my model, I want to scaffold out my controllers. Let's do that. So right-click on my controller and add controller. Okay. I'm going to add a new MVC controller with views entity framework. This is good practice for us, right? I'm going to choose from a widget context, because that's the one I'm using, and I'm going to choose my widget model. All right, and it's going to create the widgets controller. Click add. This is going to scaffold that plus the views that are related to it really quickly. Okay, let's see how I can do this. And I'm going to say, right? I'm going to say right now that I want to lock down from the get-go my entire controller, right? So I want to lock down my controller. So I'm going to say authorize. Except what I want to do is I want to show the list of widgets, right? So I want to go into my widgets and use anonymous, allow anonymous, right? What is this doing? It's saying, specificity-wise, it's saying, because I'm putting allow anonymous, it's going to override authorize. So authorize means my entire controller needs to be, someone's got to be logged in to access it. But when it comes to my index, you can see it. No problem. Let's see how this works. Okay. So I'm running, and then when I log in, let's see if who's logged in. Is it Dan or is it admin? Dan's still logged in. Okay, Dan. Let's go here, and then from there I'm going to go to widgets. Widgets. Widgers. I type in. Okay, Dan, you can see the widgets. You can see my stuff. If I click edit, though, right, it's going to take you to oh, what happened? I can edit, but I tried to authorize. I don't understand. How come I was able to go in and edit? And the widget should say it's authorized. That means I can't edit it, right? Let's log off and try it again. If I was to go in and try and log in, so if I go to widgets, and if I'm not authorized, I'm not logged in anymore, and if I click edit, now it's going to take me back to my login page because it's going to check to see if I'm logged in, and I'm not, and it's going to take me here. But when Dan was logged in, because he's authorized, right, he can go in and do his changes in the back end, right? Okay, this is cool. Notice this. See this? This login stuff, you need to clean this up. This piece I don't like, right? Use another service to log in. And this article is the one that tells you how to use OAuth to log in. If you follow the article, it tells you how to kind of create authorization and how to sign up for different accounts. This one uses Twilio for SMS, an SMS provider, and so on, and a bunch of other ways of doing stuff. If you follow this, you can actually set up for different accounts, and it's kind of cool. But this does SMS and email two-factor authentication. What I was hoping to do is, kind of set up something with, if I was going to do this with OAuth, and we can look at that later on. Okay, so cool. So we were able to secure the site from any unauthorized visitor, right? But only allow this widget stuff to come up. Okay. Well, this is cool, right? But what if I only want administrators to be able to administer the site, or widget managers, right? As an example, right? The role. Now you might think roles are easy to set up, and unfortunately, my friends, they're not, right? And I'll show you why. We need additional pages to set up these roles, right? I'm just going to put it out there, right? At the very minimum, if you look at the SQL Server Object Explorer, remember we can't do that ASP.NET management with the site. We can't do that so easily in Visual Studio 2015. 2015, they've taken it away, like I said, and you have to do a command line in order for you to do that. But one thing is, if you notice, is there's ASP.NET roles. And if I kind of look at the view data piece to it, to see what it looks like this. Here's the name of the role and the ID. Notice that this is not an identity, which means it doesn't auto-increment, right? Kind of stuff. Now here's the thing. I have a role and I have a user, but I also have a user roles, which is a totally different table. So if I go to user roles and look at this, I actually have two things, a role ID and a user ID. Okay, that means I need to make a relation between one and the other. And this user roles table, all it does is make the relation between the two. Can I go in here and add in stuff manually? Just saying. Could I do it? Let's try it out, right? I was unsuccessful in the morning class. Somehow I made it work in the afternoon class. Probably I'll make it work now. Let's see how it goes. How do I do it? So this is manual, right? Like total manual, no views. I'm just going to do it like by from the database. So name, there's two. We're going to add an administrator as a name, right? And we're going to add an ID of 1. Okay, this is not right actually. It should be a hashed ID, but let's just assume it's going to be 1 for now. And we'll use another ID of 2, and we'll have in Widget Manager, right? Widget Manager. So Widget Manager and Administrator. So those are the two roles we just added, right? You can make these roles whatever you like, right? Now, I need to change this, the role ID and the user ID. Well, I only have 2 users. Let me just kind of come up here. And if I look at ASP.NET users, so if I go to View Data, take care. If I look to view, I have 2, right? And they're separated by different user IDs. They're different hashes that I'm using here, right? So 1 is this hash for admin, and then Dan is going to be my widget manager, right? So let's do Dan first. So I'm kind of, copying the whole hash for Dan. This is kind of really long, right? Copy. And I'm going to go to ASP.NET user roles, put in a user ID, right? So I'm going to copy and paste. Let's do that again. So copy. paste. And then I'm going to put in, from a role ID perspective, it's going to be number 2. That's the widget manager, right? And then for admin, it's my admin user, so this one. I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to go over here, and under user ID, I'm going to put the user ID for admin, and it's admin, right? So those are the 2 things I need. So we might think it works, right? And it kind of did this morning, well, this afternoon actually. Let's see if it works again tonight. This morning did not work, right? This afternoon it worked, and at home did not work, right? And there's a reason for it. It's the spelling of the name that I used. You gotta be very careful what you say, because the way we do role management, you have to set up views for this if you want to. And again, one of the challenges is to set up views for this, user ID and role ID, how you create a view for that, how it relates from one to the other. I can assign a user to a role, and I got to make a custom view for that, right? I got to add that option to the view, right? So I have to modify my model when I pull it down. I got to pull the model down from the database, and from there I got to modify it so that it has additional information in there. So when I scaffold out my views, it includes you know, the role ID in there as well. Okay, let's go back. So I've got these three things, and I want to go back to my widgets controller, and instead of authorize anybody, I only want to authorize widget managers for now. So even administrators can't get in here. Let's just talk widget manager. How do I do that? I can put a bracket in here, and I can say role is equal to, and then widget manager. I'll put that in there. And then from this, this should allow Dan to log in there inside my view, and only anonymous people can see my widgets, right? Let's see if this works. Now, this did not work in the morning, like I said, but this has to be spelled exactly correctly, widget manager, which kind of sucks. All right, this is one. The other thing is, like, just to test this out, we're going to create a new user. We're going to make Cindy as a user, and Cindy is going to be she's going to be just a regular user, right? So no additional roles, just a user. Okay, if I log in, we'll check this out. We'll say, let's register a new user. Okay, so we'll say Cindy at example.com. If I can spell properly, example. And then my password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or a third user, register. And I want to see this user, Cindy, she's going to access widgets. So I'm going to go, she's registered now, right? So she's logged in. I go to widgets. It takes me back out, right, to my login page. If I can't do this. This is okay because this is just the front page. This is my list. But if I go to edit, back to my login page. So if I log in as Dan, actually let me log in as admin. So I log in as admin with a very complicated password, Georgian 2016, or then Dan's password, and then it takes me back out to log in again, right? Sorry, you're not authorized kind of thing, right? We don't have a message that says, sorry, you're not authorized, but it takes me back to my login screen. Didn't allow me in. But if I go Dan at example.com and log in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and click login, it takes me right in, and I can modify my widget. This is good. So this role management stuff works. It worked again. I can't believe it, right? But let's say for administration versions, let's say I want to do one more further than this. From an admin perspective, I want my widget manager and an administrator to both have access. You can do that with a comma, right? You can do that with a comma. Now, it's a little bit of a pain to set up this way, right? So this is definitely one option. If you want to go into the database tables like I did, or create your own views in order for you to modify the tables, you can do that. We're not going to do that today just from a time perspective, right? But that's one way to set up roles. And role management is good because I can have several people who are widget managers, or maybe a few administrators, and I don't have to list them each individual person. On the other hand, I could say, you know what? The person who can do the details view, as an example, is only Tom, right? As an example, Tom he's the person that can go in and do details. I can specify it by name as well, not just by role, if I really want to. So it's up to you how you want to split it off. Okay, here's another one. I want to authorize, you know, widget manager administrator. That's cool. I like that. But I also want to secure my entire site. So I've talked about controller level authorization, different roles. You can have different roles for your users. So widget manager, administrator, And now I'm gonna kind of lock down the entire site. How do I do that? So if I go to Solution Explorer, and if I go to App Start again, if I go into Filter Config, right under Filter Config, it allows me to lock down the entire application by creating an additional filter. Let's do that. So we'll say filters, add, and then we're going to say a new system.web. Wait, reference, I did it again. Web.mvc authorize attribute. And what this does is it creates the authorized attribute for every controller and every action method in my application. Why would I want to do that? Well, here's a great example of that. I want everything to be locked down. Listen to my words. Everything to be locked down except for my home controller. If I have a lot of different, controllers, why would I lock them down individually, right? I don't have to do that anymore. I can say everything is locked down except for, this one. They have to all be authorized to get in. And furthermore, not only they have to be authorized, but only these users can get in to this particular thing. And I can do that for specific, roles, as an example, or users. Let's try this out. So if I want to check this out, and now if I log in again, so if I kind of go, run the site, as long as I have a logged in user, I should be able to get to the front page, no problem, right? Let's see that. So I just logged in with, I think it was Cindy, right? Or Dan. So if Dan or Cindy are logged in, or even admin, right? I'm in, I can see the page. But if I log off, if I click home, it's not gonna let me anywhere because I've locked down the entire site, right? So I can't get in there anymore. Okay, fine. I wanna fix this. I wanna lock down the entire site except for home controller. What do I do, Dan? What do I put on my home controller to open it up? It's pretty simple. When I go to my home controller, what do I put on my home controller? Huh? No, allow anonymous. I want to open it up, right? So if I do this, if I say allow anonymous, I can say, well, now everyone can see my home controller, but not everything else, right? So that kind of specifies stuff for this one. Furthermore, if I want to say, you know what, only a specific user can do certain things. Like, for example, if I want to go back, I'm just going to cancel some of these. So we've authorized by role. We can also authorize by user. We're just using the authorized attribute to do that. It's pretty simple. So if I go back into, I don't know, manager controller or something else, my account controller, let's say. In my account controller, I have authorize, right? So to do anything in the account controller, you have to be authorized, yeah? But further than that, not only do you have to be authorized, but also, I gotta be careful here, but also, unless you're admin at example.com, well, you can still log in. Unless you're admin at example.com, you can't do anything in here. How do I do that? Same thing. You say users, right, equal to admin at example.com, the exact username, right? And that now only that user can access. It's not all administrators, just this one, right? If you really want to be specific, right? And the same thing goes with my manager controller. My manager controller, it's authorized, but maybe, you know, I want to say administrators. So authorize, and then role is equal to, you know, it's the other way around. Role is equal to role manager. Roles is equal to administrators, right? Only the administrator role can log into this one. Again, it's a mix and match thing, you know. And the more specific you get, if you go down to the method level, the action method, whatever you put there overrides the one that's higher and the one that's higher. So the highest level would be site level. If I go back to my home controller, that's the next level down. That's more specific. And as I go more down again, if I go to the action method, that's even more specific. And I can unlock different pieces of the application that way. Okay, let's run this now. So I should be able to get, even when I'm not logged in, I should be able to get now to my main site again, right? It won't direct me to log in again, right? But if I try and do something with manage, unless I'm logged in or my account controller, right? So if I go to, you know, account, and I press enter, it'll say well, first of all, I think it's accounts. Accounts? Yeah, maybe not. What is it? Do I even have an account controller like that? I know manage. Kill it. Manage will definitely log me off. Will ask me to log in. There's my login, right? Account, login, and then manage, right? It'll take me to my login page, right? But if I go just to account by itself, right? It'll give me like this 404. Cannot come in, right? Why? I've logged it off. Only this one user can log into account. Let's try it out. Let's try and log in. So I'm going to log into my admin at example.com. And if I go to put in his complicated password, I shall log in. There we go. And now if I go to account, let's see what I get. Do I still get that weird page? I might still get that because the account might not have anything that's a default index page, right? But if I try something else in account, here's my account views. So I go to account. And if I want to choose to go to reset password, which shouldn't be there, let's just say account, reset password. To really get to it, I did get to it. Just means this is not functional. This page is a weird page anyway. But if I was going to try and do that with logging off, and if I go account, reset password, it should take me to, well, that's weird. Take me to the error page, but it should take me to log off again. Okay, security in a nutshell. So authorize the main keyword that I want you to use, ASP.NET identity we're using, and we're doing it for both assignment 2, if you're going to use authentication for assignment 2, and if you're going to use authentication for, you have to, for assignment, for your final project, just authorize sections that you want anonymous users to be part of. So when it says anonymous users should be able to do these things, like for example, look at the catalog, make it anonymous. If you want to make it so that it's authorized only, like for example, if I'm creating products, the product management system should be someone who's authorized to log in, and it can't be just a regular authorized user so they can buy stuff. It's got to be the type of user that's authorized to log in and create stuff, a different role. Okay. Questions about role management and everything else. If you wanted to learn more about role management, by the way, if I wanted to create roles, there are websites for that. If I said something like role-based authorization, perfect for ASP.NET 5, MVC 5. There are some tutorials online that give you the ability to create all of the pages that are required for this. If you skip down here, it tells you how to do it, put things together, modify pages, and all that kind of stuff, so that way you can actually do role management. So when it comes down to the page, you can do one of these. So I register the user, and then I can decide what kind of person, what kind of role he has or she has, right? You can certainly do that. So that's definitely one way of doing it. And there's other examples online to help you do role management. The one we used was just strictly going up to the website without any kind of, or sorry, the database without doing any kind of views. Don't recommend that way. In fact, if you were to use just names, so name, users equal to, and then the username for our website, it's fine. Like if you made admin.example.com and only that person can do the administration, the management stuff, I'm okay with that. I never said and I'm not going to say in the final project that you need to use role management. It's not required. Okay. Let me just quickly take a look at Slack and see what the numbers tell me. Looks like it's presentation all the way, baby. We're almost at half. When I get to about 40, it won't be. I'll be undisputed, right? Pretty much at 40, there's no one that can really surpass that many. Now you still have a chance because there's still 90 users, right? Something like that. So theoretically, you might be able to come up with a few more if someone wanted to. There's 19. We're not that far off. I'm going to give it a little bit of time. So I'm going to wait till for a couple days more, maybe, and then maybe I'll close this off tomorrow night and see how things go, and then we'll present it later on and we'll talk about it again. Again, we have a few weeks to get this done, but I'm interested to understand, if everyone can be ready for the final. And the most important thing is that everyone has their project pretty much done for week 14. If you don't have it done, that would be chaos in here, and we would waste a lot of time. And I mean done, like as in 99% is done. You're just doing final touches on the Friday, and you're handing it in. That's what we're talking about. Otherwise, it's going to be a big waste of time for people to come up here and say, hi, my project is here, and you know what? I just couldn't get it done. And here I am, right? Give me 10%, Tom, right? It's not going to happen, right? So that means zeros for people. And that's the problem with combining presentation with a project. That's it for me today. You guys ran really fast compared to the guys in the morning section, right? So I'm going to let you go early tonight. Next week, we're done for what I wanted to take care of for this week. What I want you to take away is, again, think about your project for next week. When I get together with you, I need to know who you're working with, what it's looking like. Give me a team name. And then on Slack, what I want you to do is send me a direct message eventually saying, here's my team members, right? Here are the people that are my team. This is what we're called. And then eventually, if I can get enough of those, I will create a way of you submitting. One person can submit on Blackboard, and then you all get the marks, as opposed to, multiple people are submitting different places. It's a pain in the ass. This way we create team names, and everyone's got a team name. If you're working solo, you'd still make a team name for yourself. Let's say, for example, if Josh decided to work on his own, I don't know why he would do that, but he would call himself Solo Josh, and that would be his team name. And I would kind of enter that in, and then when it would allow him to kind of submit things on his own. Any questions for next week? Remember that for the wireframes, one thing I have to also note for wireframes, remember that the wireframes are required for next week. That's what's required. So I don't expect you to be artists. It's not expected. I only want you to draw boxes and labels to point to what the wireframes are going to look like for your site, for the main, catalog, for the details page, for those kind of things that we're doing, the e-commerce pages of the site, not the regular other pages. Landing page, okay, I'd like to see your landing pages from a high level, style perspective, but really even that is not so important as the other pages. The other pages of your site, so I can see what you're planning from an e-commerce perspective, are really good, and they're not that difficult. Again, if I was to go to some place like a Canadian Tire or a Home Depot or one of those, if you're going to sell that kind of product, or if you're going to do a restaurant, look at a restaurant site and see what you like and what you don't like. Just because it's a big popular restaurant site doesn't mean it's done well. We saw a couple that weren't that good, right? And that's it for me, guys. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Next week, again, we start other things that are more interesting. Thank you.